confuting is confusing, resecting narratives for their cancerous lies. As I wrote in my book on privacy and lies, page 183, confuting is a real English word that means 1. To prove to be false, invalid, or defective, disprove, to confute an argument. 2. To prove a person to be wrong by argument or proof, to confute an argument. 3. To bring to naught, confound. Let's just use the sense to bring to naught. This is done all the time by people who want to trick you into believing they told you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. When truthful people try to tell you that someone or some group is lying, they often have to tell you a whole confusing and confuting narrative that made them certain who was lying. Your brain is brought to naught, and you do not understand the lying they were trying to tell you about. This whole paper is about how to avoid being confuted by the facts presented by an outstanding medium truth-teller, Dylan Kumbelek, in paragraph 2, 3, and 4 of his excellent Medium article on how people, companies, and nations are lying by omission about Russia's war on Ukraine. It also uses Mendacioology, the computational cognitive science of lying and deceit, as a way to analyze the lies without being confused by the confuting. Ukraine update May 1st, 2026. Aluminum and grain twaps again, really. Medium.com. Here's the friend's link to this article, which he also provides in his article. Almost always, when someone is trying to explain a lie or deceit, you have to follow the narrative story he tells. That's when things can get really confusing. In these 3 paragraphs, the narratives are about economic sanctions to stop the Russians from killing Ukrainians without killing the Russians. It's about an ethical, moral, and logical way to stop a war brought by a single king on another country. There are 4 separate narratives that are telling 11, not the whole truth lies, but only 3 truths that are known to the public when the lies of omission are told. A narrative is a sequence of hopefully interesting and informative and not confusing events over time, but the lying agents doing things in the narrative are intentionally trying to hide their lies. If they are skilled at lying, they can do a good job of confuting you. Understanding the narrative lies can be easily brought to naught if the truth-teller is also trying not to lie himself. It's called good journalism, which in Dylan's case is great journalism. Once you do this, you begin to see what Dylan was really talking about in these 3 paragraphs. How bad, immoral, unethical, and illogical those 4 narratives are by the agents who are lying in just those 3 short paragraphs. The analysis has the good guys in blue, the bad guys in red, the lies of omission in red, and Ukraine, the poor country, being harmed by all of this in Ukrainian yellow. These are all the agents named in these paragraphs as potential liars. The text of the 3 paragraphs is almost exactly the text you see describing the actions divided into the 4 narratives that Dylan is describing. Read the actions in sequence, and you will be reading the 3 paragraphs nearly as Dylan wrote them in his article. Mendacioology, the computational cognitive science of lying, has its roots in structural linguistics as a direct window on all neural computations. I have written extensively on why those computations are predications composed of subjects and predicates. As you know in grammar, a predicate can also contain an object of the action described in the predicate. The arrows you see from one agent to another modify, alt, predicate, contextualize, and therefore point to the subject agent being modified semantically by the predicate and its object agent. For more detail on how the brain, indeed any animal brain, computes on predications now proven by Turing tests you see in AI large language models and all modern generative AI, watch here. Note, we say that in understanding a single sentence, your brain processes not only the predications asserted by the words in the sentences, but also thousands if not millions of additional predications that contextualize the asserted predications as subjects in their predication. Every sentence can be a lie or the truth to somebody at some time. It's how neural systems compute on truth and deceit in order for the organism to survive. Because you have a human brain that understands English, I will now leave it to you to see in every narrative why each of the sentences asserted conveys a lie of omission exposed by the entire narrative it is in. Sometimes there are many more than 1 lies of omission conveyed in each sentence identified as having at least 1. These are not conspiracy theories as evidenced by each complete narrative. Dylan did a great job at reasoning about all the lies that must have been told around the actions taken by the agents to give you a hint on how your brain works through narrative truths and lies and can see the lies of omission. Here is one example. In narrative 4, you see a direct contradiction lie comparing action 2 and 4. The Irish government said they were allowing the sanction not be obeyed in order to protect an Irish company. But in Action 2, you see that Irish company is in fact owned outright by the Russian company. So who then, Mr. Irish government, are you really protecting? Isn't there more you should be saying to the public?